So to start, we're going to do a little bit of olive oil in our sauce pot. Non-stick, as I'm sure you can see too. Holly, less oil, right? So we're going to start with a little bit of onion and some chicken in there. Now your recipes, I believe, call for raw chicken cubed up. That's fine. If you have some leftover chicken breast from something that you grilled the night before, that's fine. If you want to use ground turkey, that's fine too. Any kind of poultry that's going to be a lean meat, a white meat, really. So we're just going to saute that for a little bit. And for the magic of television too, we're not going to take everything all the way down. So adding into that afterwards, I believe it calls in your recipe for your spices after basically everything's sauteed. A good trick when you're making soups and sauces that you can use is just before they're actually done, just before your onions are translucent, to start putting your spices in there because it opens them up a lot faster. So then say if you're making a soup or a spaghetti sauce or something and you put all your dry spices in at the end, you stir it, and then you got to simmer it on the stove for 4 hours. Well, if you throw your spices in there ahead of time, especially dry spices, it just rehydrates them and gets that flavor out a little bit quicker. So they can incorporate into the sauce a little faster. So for this, we're going to do some cumin, just a pinch of cayenne, and obviously if your crowd that you're serving at the tailgate, they like things spicier, go ahead, use some more. A little bit of garlic, and of course you can substitute fresh garlic with that as well too. And then some oregano. And most people actually think of oregano as being an Italian style spice, and while it is, it's also very predominant in Southwestern cuisine. So that's something that if you've had like a tortilla soup, or if you've had almost every chili that you're going to have commercially has some oregano in it. So we'll saute that. Then we're going to give it some chicken stock. And I think the recipe calls for 1.25 cups, if I recall. And then we'll just let that simmer. Also, adding to that our green chilies. And you might have heard this called Green Mountain chili or chili verde or white chili, white bean chili. All sorts of different names. Basically what it means is a lighter colored bean with a lighter colored meat simmered together into a chili with similar Southwestern style flavors added to it, like cumin, coriander, things like that. Now your recipe also calls for cilantro. Well, personally, I'm of the belief that there's no sense in using cilantro unless you're using fresh cilantro. It's all about the freshness and the brightness of the flavor that's there, rather than the dried cilantro, which is basically going to give you about as much flavor as dried parsley. So what we'll do is we'll have a little bit of cilantro to finish that later. So we're going to set this off to the side now to let it simmer, and then we'll come back to it. And when we serve it up, we'll put a little bit of shredded cheese on top of it. We'll put a little bit of scallion and some fresh cilantro right into the soup just beforehand. Okay? What's that? Oh, good. Thank you. So we're just going to let that simmer over here. Now, if you notice that you take a look at ours and it looks like it might need a little bit more stock, that's fine. Put some more stock in it. If, when you're making it at home, it looks like maybe you put too much stock in it, that's fine. You can fix that. It's real easy. There's a few different ways that you could actually thicken up a white bean chili like that. One would be to make a masa slurry, and that would be like cornmeal and a little bit of water, and that's really not going to impart any sodium or too much more calories to it. The healthiest way to do it, would be to actually just add a little bit more bean to it and puree it. One of those little stick blenders that everybody's got at home. We call it a boat motor in the kitchen. It works fantastic for grinding up other vegetables and stuff like that. Okay.